All right, Nick, thank you. The Senate is expected to return today and will start to consider an aid package that will increase United States military aid to Ukraine.
Yeah, so this morning, U.S. Senator Jerry Moran of Kansas is joining us this morning. Thanks so much for getting here early and joining us, Senator. So what's going to be discussed today?
Well, I've asked Senator Schumer, the majority leader, in a letter earlier, late last week, that we need to prioritize this issue. There's other things on the Senate schedule. This seems to me to be the one that is of the most significance. It clearly is. And the request is that we take up sanctions. The administration has imposed some sanctions. I think we can go further. And what I'm looking for, in addition to the aid that you just reported, what I'm looking for is a near unanimous, if not unanimous, agreement vote by the United States Senate. It would be great if it's 100-0, sending not only the aid and imposing the sanctions, but sending a message to Russia, to Putin, the thug, that we are united in opposition to his crossing the border and invading an independent country.
Is this, this seems to be one issue that may finally bring lawmakers together after many years, it seems, of great divides. It seems to reason that a lot of lawmakers would be on board with the plan to go against Russia.
As you started down your sentence, my mouth began to smile because
Sure.
that may be. It's sad that it takes this kind of circumstance for us to find some common ground in the nation's capital, but that would be a great development. And in fact, Putin has been able to do something that 3 presidents have been trying to achieve, getting a united United States with NATO, getting NATO united, getting Germany to increase its defense spending. So these circumstances are often the moments in which not putting aside the politics and the self-interest and saying we have an obligation, responsibility to defend freedom. And the issue here to me is certainly the Ukrainians. We pray for their success and safety, but also what message failure to push back on Putin would mean to this country and to other nations where everyone is watching to see what kind of response freedom-loving nations and people take in response to this invasion, the worst circumstance, the most number of the greatest number of tragedies occurring now since World War II in Europe, and the most aggressive country invasion since Saddam Hussein in my lifetime.
And Senator, I want to ask you about Putin. You referred to him as a thug a moment ago. I was watching the Sunday morning shows yesterday with all the talking heads, and they were describing how Putin's become increasingly isolated and paranoid, and they were openly questioning if he is a rational actor in all of this. What's your feeling about that?
I'm an appropriator for the intelligence agencies, and so I have briefings that I can't report with you this morning, but there are certainly public reports by members of Congress and others about the concern that Putin is not just evil, but he is incapable of rational decisions. And that is even more dangerous for us to deal with, more challenging.
And certainly when you start hearing talks of nuclear potential on the table, that is very scary.
I think we at this stage in our history have kind of walked away from the thought that might be a potential, that might happen. And this brings us back to reality that there is still evil, danger in the world, and that freedom is always under attack. And it's so pleasing to see the Russian people and their opposition to this invasion, but particularly to see the Ukrainians who seem so serious, so sincere, so committed to protecting their country, and then the reactions around the world, including here in Kansas City.
Certainly. Senator Moran, thank you for joining us this morning.